your live.
Yeah, click on my live. Awesome. And we will get rolling. Where's everybody from? And guys on Instagram and YouTube, I want to encourage as much interaction as possible. So if you have questions, drop the questions underneath in the comments and we will tackle them as best we can.
That's right. Can you see me okay?
Did I miss you, Adele? Oh, there she is. Okay, great.
You see me? Let me pull it on.
And
okay.
We are rocking and
rolling good?
Soon.
Awesome.
She should be coming on any second.
Yes. Go live.
Waiting for Adele.
I think back there is better. Okay, right.
There we go.
Awesome.
Okay. There she is.
Here I am. Do you want me to look here or do you want me to look in the Zoom cam? Because I'm
kind of both.
Kind of both? We'll do both.
Kind of both.
Both. The lighting's a little off on this side, but that's okay.
So real quick, as we keep the ball rolling,
hey,
can we get a quick little introduction?
Yes.
Go for it.
Hi, guys. How are you? My name is Adele Wilson. I am a media coach, and I specialize in working with entrepreneurs, professionals, executives, business owners, just like you. And I help you present with power, poise, and style on camera, get booked on TV and media, and become a celebrity in your industry so that you can grow your business, elevate your brand, and attract better quality clients. So it's great to see you guys.
Love it, love it, love it. So we had some crazy technical difficulties last time.
Don't even remind me. But yeah,
that's like 10 minutes worth of talk time. But now we have a full, pretty much an hour to cover as much as possible. So I know people are going to be jumping in and out. And so for those folks that are just tuning in, today's video is all about how to use video and leverage video to sell more stuff, whether it's a product or service or creating just the trust factor and building relationships with your audience. Super, super important. Video is one of the best ways to do that. And I'm telling you right now, if you're not getting into video in 2020, I know your competition is because they're hiring us.
That's right.
They're gonna take your market share. So I want to jump right into it, Adele. Like, what are some common mistakes people are doing or making when it comes to using video to sell their product or service?
So I see lots of mistakes being made, one of which you mentioned in the beginning. So audio, lack of audio, not having a lavalier, not having a mic, so that people can see you, but they can't necessarily hear you. So that comes off as a little bit unprofessional. The other thing is, and this may be controversial to say, I know I mentioned it during our podcast interview, which I know will be airing in a few weeks. So the other idea is, why are you guys just using, hey, let's just use that iPhone and I'm not going to think about what I'm wearing. I am just going to wear my t-shirt, even though when I'm in a meeting, when I go to meet with my clients, I would be dressing in a suit or I would have a button down or whatever your uniform of choice, which is appropriate and branded for you and your business. Then all of a sudden you turn a camera on or you turn your iPhone on and you say, let's just do this with a t-shirt and jeans. So it's brand incongruency. Now, if that's your brand, the t-shirt and jeans gal or the t-shirt and jeans guy, then that's appropriate.
Yeah.
But if you are, for example, selling luxury real estate and you are 24/7 in a suit, in a three-piece suit, then all of a sudden you say, hey, I'm going to do a business video because I know that 80% of content online is video, but I'm just going to wing it, you know? So those are two things. Other thing is that people don't prepare, like they don't script things out. There's never a time that I go on camera. Well, today is a bunch of questions, and so we're improvising a bit. But I know my material. So, but here's what's important: script your business videos, script your YouTube videos. We don't want to come across as rehearsed, but you want to, at the very least, right? At the very least, have your talking points in front of you. And those are a few. Those are just a few of the items.
Yeah, I think that when you have those bulleted items, the conversation that you're having with the camera and AKA your audience is just going to be a little bit more fluid, a little bit more streamlined. I use a formula called the PADS formula, PAD as in dog, S as in
Okay.
Sam. And it helps me structure the conversation. So I'm not just rambling. I have a tendency to repeat myself. I have a tendency to have a lot of, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Filler
You-
words.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I have these bullet points in front of me and I have this framework, it helps out tremendously. And I'll give you guys this framework. Some of you guys already know it, but the P stands for presenting the problem. So what problem are we going to be talking about today? Well, today's problem is people don't know how to use video properly, and they're actually doing their brand a disservice, and they're actually tarnishing their reputation rather than polishing it by doing video wrong. So we're going to be talking about that today, right? So who else wants to sell more stuff using video, right? So what happens when your competition is better than you when it comes to creating video, right? They're going to take the market share. So that's the A of PADS. It's agitating the emotion. We have to agitate the emotion to get people to pay attention and listen to us. Otherwise, they're gone, right?
Absolutely.
So then the next piece is the D, and that is designing a potential solution. So by the time you finish with this live, you are going to have some really good stuff to go away with, to execute and implement, to watch that conversion rate start to increase now, and your videos start to get a little bit more polished and professional, right? And then the S for PADS stands for smoothly transition them to a call to action. So Adele will have a place to go for you so that you can just put in a simple text message number, right? And get a digital download, right? I'm going to share with you a training later that is 26 minutes long, and I can promise you it's going to have you think completely differently when it comes to scaling and building your brand. So that's the framework, PAD. So present the problem, agitate the emotion, design a potential solution, and smoothly transition them to a call to action. You create videos with that framework, and I can promise you, you're going to see a huge shift in the efficiency of your video content.
I love that. I'm taking notes, guys. I like it. I didn't have PADS. I have my own system and formula, but I like that.
Yeah.
That's simple to remember as well.
Yeah, I try to break things down in those acronyms. I work really well with acronyms and frameworks. You know, you and I used to share a coach way back in the day, Frank Kern, and Frank taught us well when it came to creating frameworks for things, you know, creating processes for things, because then you're able to do way more than somebody who doesn't have their shit together. Bottom line.
1,000%. 1,000%. He's a genius at that.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
yeah.
Let's get back into the influencing and the persuasion part of video.
Yeah.
What are some key points that people should talk about when they're creating a video that's going to help them sell? Now, it doesn't need to be a sales video, like the video's actually selling the product. I'm thinking more of a content angle, like what we're doing right here.
Absolutely. That's a great question. So just as you were saying, and it shouldn't be, by the way, you shouldn't just come out in your first video as a sales video because that's probably guaranteeing you that you're not going to sell anything. You may sell a few here and there, products or services, but it's not going to be, you're not going to maximize the opportunity of being on camera. I like to play, as I mentioned before we were on the air, the long game. So what's the long game? The long game is share your content, give away a lot of your content for free, do a lot of what we're doing today, as you mentioned, doing your lives, take questions from folks, see what it is that people have, what are the questions that people have relative to your industry, and then reverse engineer that. And you can you don't even have to do something live. You could just on your own write down some of those questions and do a series of 1-minute videos where you tackle each question and you open up just introducing yourself, what you do, and then quickly what the question is, answer it. And then for more information, visit my website. For more information, then you drive them wherever you'd like, whether that's social media, your website, a text message to give away your free PDF, that sort of thing.
I love it. I love it. I love it. There's some questions here that I want to get to. So
are we getting a little feedback, Henry, or are we okay?
I hear you great.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I hear you great. So it says, I don't have a good look to appear in video. Or a good voice. Any advice?
For sure. So your look can be crafted.
Yeah.
Looks are crafted. Your image is crafted. So when I'm working with clients, they can walk in with t-shirt and jeans and I say, okay, obviously we work, it takes a little longer, but we think about what's your brand? Who is your audience? Yeah. What are they expecting you to look like?
Yeah.
And so it's a combination of those two things. So I'm going to tackle the image first, then we'll move over to voice.
Yeah.
So your image should be along the lines of who are you serving? So that's why I said it in the beginning. For example, if you're serving and I'll go back to the same example. If you're serving the luxury real estate market, there's a way that your customers or your clients are accustomed to seeing folks in that industry. I'm not saying that you should be cookie cutter because I'm all about what is your unique selling proposition and what makes you different. But you really do have to be cognizant of your industry and what the expectations are. So put your image together in that way. When I work with my clients, whether lawyers, doctors, coaches, whatever the case may be, I ask, we go through what's your target market? What's your brand represent? What do you want your brand to represent? How would you like people to talk about you when you walk out of the room? And then from there, I say, okay, honestly, this is what I do. I say with my VIP coaching members, bring me a bunch of your clothing that you have either worn on TV or worn on camera or are contemplating wearing. And I say, yes, no, yes, no. Have you ever thought of putting these two together? What about your company colors? So there's a lot of things to keep in mind. Stay away from these colors. And I'll just say, you probably want to stay away from dark colors on camera. So,
especially if you have a dark background, right?
Especially that. I had a really cool black dress, but I'm sitting in a black chair and I wasn't sure if the chair would show up. Actually, it doesn't show up here, but so yeah, you don't want to wear the color that will match the background because then it's like a floating head.
Yeah.
So image wise, and then, think about how your hair should look, your makeup. And you don't have to get it professionally done, but you have to appear polished on camera. So even gentlemen, it's okay to put a little powder on.
Sure.
And that's really all gentlemen need, right? But for women, we need a little bit more. And especially if you're going to have your lights surrounded by lights, right? Which most of the time you will. If you're home, maybe you use a ring light. But you have a light source.
Yeah.
And that's going to look different if you're wearing just your basic makeup versus if you elevate it a little bit more. So you have to maybe layer it a little bit more than you would in real life.
Somebody says, how does your hair look, the brand doctor?
Exactly.
That's amazing.
I like that.
It's
lucky
styled
for him,
every
he doesn't have to
day.
worry about it, right? He looks amazing every day.
That's awesome.
So
everybody's
I like that.
dying on Instagram. I love it. I love it.
I'm dying here too. It's good. But
So
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. So what I heard you say was, you have to dress accordingly, obviously, to resonate and connect with your audience. So if the people that you're selling to are casual folks, you dressing up in a suit is going to create a disconnect. Or if you are in more of a professional setting and you come too casual, you may not be taken as seriously.
That is exactly right. And then sometimes if you have a casual audience, maybe you step it up just a little bit more. Maybe you have a t-shirt and jeans audience, but maybe this time you're wearing t-shirt and jeans, but maybe you throw a jacket over it.
Yeah.
Maybe you throw a blazer over it so that you've just elevated just a little bit more, also to show the level of authority.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that go into play with image, and psychology is a little bit comes into play. And so maybe just throwing a jacket so that you're slightly more elevated.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. No, it does. It does. So how about,
and then they mentioned voice too, right?
yeah, let's talk about voice for a second, because there's a lot of folks that I see get on video and maybe it's nerves, maybe it's just lack of experience, but they're very monotone and they stare in the camera like a psychopath, and they're like, this is what we're going to talk about today. And
yes,
and
that's horrible.
Like, they don't even know how awful they are. They
don't.
And so I hate to say that. I hate to say that, but I say it in a kind way because I love.
Of course.
When we're on video, like video, I heard this the other day. As we all know, video puts on 10 pounds. Like I'm looking at myself on YouTube, and it looks like I have a job going on.
Let's not even talk about that. That's
like
true.
Almost a double D here today.
Nah, you're good. You're good. Don't say that.
But the funny part. So the camera definitely puts on a couple of pounds, right?
It does.
But
it does. Yeah.
As much as it puts on the pounds, it also drains your energy as well. So like a lot of times we might have talked about this last week briefly, but like when you get on video, you got to crank up that energy.
Yes.
20 to 40% so that you can counteract what that camera takes away when it comes to energy. So I just wanted you to kind of highlight that and give us your take.
I love that. Yeah, those are great points. So hi, my name is Adele Sutter-Wilson, or my name is Adele Wilson, and I'm here to talk about the 16 quick tips about developing confidence on camera. You ready? Let's go. That's horrible. Right? So who's on board with that? Nobody's on board with that. But if I say, hey guys, welcome to the show, I am so excited to be here. So you're varying your so you're not monotone, right? You're varying your voice. You're taking a pause, maybe. At one point you're looking at the camera, then maybe you look away and you look back, kind of like you would with a friend. Because really that lens, as we've mentioned so many times, you're supposed to look at this lens like that person's your best friend, your avatar, your target audience. But really speaking to one person is really what I would love for everyone to do. So, but like you mentioned before, it takes practice. So it doesn't just happen overnight. When I worked as an actress, I also was a voiceover artist. So I did a lot of voiceover commercials. And so it takes practice. It doesn't just happen overnight. And so really it's practicing what you're going to say and getting your mind right before you hit the camera, right? So we have, for example, in my book, Celebrity Media Secrets, to plug a little bit there, I have a 7-step process. And my first process is mindset. And it's about what happens, guys, because people don't think about this very often, but it's what happens before you hit the stage, before you hit the camera, before the lights go on. Are you mentally prepared? Have you looked over your notes? Have you scripted everything? Are you ready to go? Are you feeling good? Did you go over your gratitude list? Whatever it is that's going to pump it up. And I like that Henry said that 20 to 40%, because it's not going from 0 to 100, but it's just that right spot where you're not screaming at the camera, but you have just that extra level of energy, because that's what the camera requires, to be honest. It's you, but better and a little more energized than usual. And so those are some of the tips, but it does take practice, and it's something that I work with my clients, and you can work with a media coach, or you can just practice with your friends, or here's another option. You can record yourself and play it back and say, would I follow this person? Would I buy from this person?
That's painful.
If the answer is no, keep practicing.
I'll be the first to tell you it's very painful at first to watch yourself over and over and over again and critique yourself. But let me tell you something. It gets easier as you go, and you'll see things that you don't see when you're actually recording the video, which is really, really helpful, like the ums and the ahs and the no's, and maybe it's your posture. Maybe you're not sitting up straight enough, or things like
I love
that.
that.
You'll be
That's
like,
a good point.
let me correct that next time, and you'll be
Yes.
you'll be 10 to 20% better each time you do a video. So that's key to understand right there. So real quick, before we continue, I just want to encourage everybody on Instagram and Facebook, if you have questions, drop them in the comments below. This is what we're doing this for. We want to help you, and we want you to interact with us. It's not just two, talking heads chatting for 25 minutes, 30 minutes. We really want to bring you into the mix, because we want to get your questions answered so that you can go on and sell more stuff with video at the bottom line here. So
Exactly.
Cafe Fuerte says, not to be a party pooper, but I think a lot more people would tune in to view this if you would go live a little later in the day around 8 p.m. when people are out of work or school. Just my opinion. It's a great thought. It's a great thought. We should play around with different times. I think that's a great suggestion. So I appreciate you for that.
Yes, good stuff.
There was another question a little bit earlier that someone said about, well, how do you generate traffic to the videos? You could create all the videos and make them as great as you want, but how do you get people to watch them?
It's a great point. So, I mean, one of the ways, a simple way to do that is first you can start to you can make a post, and then you can go ahead and send those individual posts to your friends that are already on Instagram and ask them to like and share and comment with their followers. Another way is to promote your post so that doesn't have to be expensive. Honestly, you could do $5 for one day or $10 for 2 days and promote
Adele,
your post.
tell them what we did.
What we did when we first connected?
No, what we did yesterday, what you did yesterday.
What did we do yesterday? Tell me.
You posted an IG story and said, "Hey,
I mean, I thought it was something else more, but yeah, I mean, that's essentially what we did. I made a post yesterday and I did exactly what I just said. So forgive me for a moment. I had brain fog for a second there, but I thought it was something else that we had done. But yeah, so to promote this live to my audience, so not Henry right to his, but to mine, I made a post. I included my photo, Henry's photo as well. And I said, hey guys, tomorrow we're going live on Instagram. We're taking your questions. And I did exactly what I just said. I did a 24-hour promoting of the post, and it was literally $5. Sometimes I do something like $10, or sometimes it's usually $5. Yeah. So I don't go crazy with things because you want to test what works, right? So I did that. And then I also sent it, just like I said before, individually to people's inboxes, to their DMs, so that not only did they see the post, I also did an Instagram story. Right? I did a few different Instagram story posts. And so that way, if you didn't see the post, you saw the Instagram story. If you didn't see the Instagram story, you saw the DM. If not, at some point, if you're not a follower, then I've promoted to a specific target audience, and in hopes that it will drive business, not drive business, but drive more eyeballs, if you will, to broadcast today. So yeah.
I love it. Well, it worked out because there's 16 people watching. It's very interactive. And we have Chris Brad from Scotland tuning in.
Nice.
77. Mr. Mesmar's in the house. Todd Hartley's here. What's up, Todd? Long time no talk.
Hey guys.
So this is awesome stuff. So there's some good questions here. So
okay, great.
What's the most useful length for a good video ad?
For a video ad?
Yeah.
That depends. It could be as short as 30 seconds. It could be as long as maybe a minute. It depends what you're looking to do, but I wouldn't go beyond a minute long. And maybe this is something that Henry can also speak to, because I know that's something that you're currently doing, right? So but
It
I
it
would not
definitely
go
dep
too long with it.
it definitely depends. I think what you have to pay attention to is attention span, and I would say anything from a minute to 2.5 minute is key. Adele and I talked about sizzle reels a couple of days ago. And when I did my research on sizzle reels, for those folks that don't know what a sizzle reel is, but it is a very quick, brief video describing and basically selling what it is that you do, whether it be a video series or a product or a service. And I noticed that
I sometimes say it's a quick, like a video resume almost.
that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
So like 2.5 minutes was like the average time of the ones that I thought were really, really good. So anywhere from 60 to a minute, 2.5 minutes, I would say, is going to capture that attention. This is really
Great.
good stuff. So there's now the questions are really rolling in here.
All
So
right, good.
and I forgive me if I miss any, just drop it again or hit that little question mark and put it in the question mark tab down below. What's the best app in your opinion to edit video? We're a new startup trying to build a presence.
Gosh, I wish had access to my phone, but sometimes it's honestly just, I use something called Cut Story. It's super simple on your phone. And that's one of the apps that I use. There's maybe 3 or 4. But that's one of the really simple ones that I use. And it's
I
not
use
expensive
iMovie.
at all.
Like when
I
I
was
gotta
gonna
do
say that's
something
it,
on the
right.
fly,
iMovie's simple too. Mhm.
when I do something on the fly, I use iMovie, and I'm no editor by any means. I have an editor
Yes.
that does all of the major stuff, but iMovie's a
Mine too.
great little, a great little app to just cut and get it out
Yeah.
there, right? I mean,
If it's something simple, yes. I also have an editing team, so I tend to go, obviously because I'm a media coach, I do tend to do longer videos, and I'll go in the studio and I'll do a bunch of videos in a day to get them, out of the way, and then I start to, feed them, if you will, drip them, if you will, on a weekly basis. But yeah, I mean, on the fly and you don't have access to an editor, that's what I would do.
okay.
And there's
Awesome.
a bunch of them, but that's the one I use. One of
Awesome.
the ones. I use,
So
yeah.
Chris Brad 21 says, how do you tell your truth even when you know it will never be believed anyway? It will make me look like a crazy, delusional, and insane mofo.
Is that Chris?
That's Chris.
Chris, you have such a good sense of humor. How do you tell your truth, even if you think people won't believe you? You tell your truth. I mean, you just do. I don't know what your market is. I don't know what you're selling.
Yeah.
I think I would need a little more context. So maybe, Chris, if you could maybe elaborate, if you're comfortable with doing that, I think that would help. But if you believe, it's like if you believe what you're selling, others will as well. That's why I've never sold anything I didn't believe in.
Yeah.
I don't sell my services. When I worked for a company before I was an entrepreneur, I had to believe in what I was selling. But it also is, think about your message, because if it's detrimental to your message, not everything is meant to be shared in the name of business and in the name of transparency. So I would need a little more context to understand what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you wanted to elaborate on that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll put in my 2 cents because I struggle with this quite a bit. I have a wife who's extremely private, and she's married to a husband who's extremely public.
Yes.
How does that work? Right. And so, there is this banging of the heads sometimes when there's content being put out there that isn't comfortable for her. For example, there's 122,000 people that follow me on Instagram. When I post a picture of my son, she gets a little nervous. There was a time, Adele, this was nuts. There was a time where someone reposted a picture of my son on their Instagram account.
Oh my gosh.
That was just a little strange for us. Right. So ever since that day, my wife has gotten very like concerned with that. So, you know, I still post pictures of my son. I mean, I would feel locked in a cage if I couldn't post a picture of my son, right? But
Wow.
that's
How
not
did
the
you guys
primary.
handle that, if I can ask?
What's that?
How did you guys handle that? Did you reach out to the person and ask them, would you kindly take that down?
We
That's
reached
our
out
private family.
immediately. They happily took
Yeah.
it down. There was no harm, no foul, and we just got on with it. But
I'd have a hard time with that myself.
it was a little awkward. I'm not gonna lie. It was a little awkward seeing him on somebody else's page who was a complete stranger to us. So, you know, you have to keep that in mind. And I have. So, you know, you will see my son sparingly. But you know, that was a lesson learned. And, you know, I got to respect my wife, but I have, and she knows this too, that social media is the way that I make my living and the way that we generate revenue and put food on our table.
Yes.
So, and I say we, it's my team and I, but like, so she has to understand that too. And she does. So it's that give and take.
Yeah. Right.
So the point that I wanted to make was people are starving for the truth and you have to give it to them. And that's your responsibility, Chris. Like, even if the story sounds as crazy as you think it does, right? I'm sure there's a crazier story out there. No offense. And if somebody thinks that you're crazy, then ask yourself, do you even want to conversate with this person? Do you even want to entertain it? Number one. And number two, if you have the urge to back up the story with proof, then that's your what's the word I'm looking for? That's your choice to want to go down that rabbit hole. But I think the biggest point that I want you to get, Chris, is this. You have to live your life. And I would stop worrying about what other people think. You know, as I get older, I'm going to be 30, I'm going to be 40 next year. So like I'm getting older and my giving a fuck has gotten down to a very short fuse. So it doesn't really bother me anymore. You know, what people say, you're not going to hurt my feelings. You know, I've been told some horrible things from people that I love dearly. So like what some random person says on the internet is not going to get me upset. Right. So if I were you, I would go all in and just embrace that story because it's made you who you are.
Exactly. And people and they embrace that authentic side of you.
Yeah.
If you come across fake, then that's when, if your goal is to sell eventually, that's when people are really turned off. So you really want to, for me, everyone knows in my family, as an example, and my close friends know that I'm believe it or not, a super private person, believe it or not. And so, but I understand the business that I'm in. And I know that folks want to see a lot more than just, here's my book, this is my business. They want to see my family. They want to see a little bit of my personal life. So in the beginning, I'll be honest, I struggled a little bit with that. But now I balance it and I do what works for me and makes me comfortable. It's not about putting everything out there. But people want to know that you're a real person and people connect to that authentic side of you. So if it's a seemingly crazy story, but that's your story.
That's it.
So like Henry said, embrace it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I want to get to Galmato Haven. I'm sorry if I mispronounced, but she says, I believe it's a woman, but are there factors that make a video more likely to be shared?
Interesting. Does she mean
like what
viral? Because I can never figure. Yeah, the formula for that. What's to make a viral video? I know I watched Gary Vee talk about that, or I heard him on one of his podcast episodes, and he's like, I don't even have a viral video. It's hard to believe that Gary Vee would say that. Yeah. But if Gary Vee doesn't have a viral video, I just don't know what the formula is in particular to make something go viral. But in order to sell something, you don't have to make it go viral. No. There are so many other avenues to pursue.
So that's a great question.
Yeah.
And And I will share with you a technique that I'm using right now to sort of surf the viral wave without creating viral content myself. Okay. So for those folks that, people are like thumbnails, people are thinking way too hard into this, right? So one of the things that I will tell you is this. I noticed that the more motivational the video is, the more potential it has to become viral. That I see a lot. But let me share with you a quick strategy I'm using on Instagram specifically. So I will search big accounts and I will look at their video content, and I will see some videos that have gotten 300,000 views, 1,000,000 views, freaking big viewership, right? So what I'll do is I'll save that video as long as it has relevance to my message, my mission, my values, right? Because it has to flow with what it is that I do. Otherwise, it's gonna be out of context and it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb. So every 2 or 3 posts of mine that I put on Instagram, I will post or repost this viral video. And basically what happens is
I've seen you do that.
when you do that, the video tends to go viral on your page again. And now your account gets plugged into the Explore page. Your account basically jumps on this rocket and takes you for a ride into virality. So every 2 or 3 posts, I repost a viral video and then watch that.
I saw one. I think you posted one, like a clip from one of the Rocky movies.
Yeah, there was a clip that the first clip I ever did this with was the first video I did this with was a clip from American Gangster, the movie American Gangster. And I just reposted. I saw the person who posted it first. It got like 330,000 views. I go, if I get 1/10 of that, I'll be happy.
Yes.
And posted that, and it got like 10,000, 15,000 views on my account.
Wow. That's a beautiful technique.
Look at Trey Wilder and Gal and Mr. McGow. They're all going crazy.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good one.
Hacks.
That's $1 million tip.
Yeah, it's these little hacks. So, and you don't have to do that with just video. You could do it with a static post, right? You find a post that got a lot of love.
Yeah,
the same thing. It's gonna eventually start to put you in that viral category, and you're gonna ride that wave.
That's great. That's
how do you go about reposting? So there's an app, very simple. It's called Repost. Go get it. There's a paid version. There's a free version. And it is as simple as copying the link of that post. And then it automatically populates in the Repost app. And then you push one button and it'll populate and post right onto your page.
Yes. It's super simple to use.
Yeah. Mr. Mesner says, talking about plagiarism versus repost. You can't plagiarize if you credit them. So as long as you credit them, like you'll see, I was a little sloppy with this up in the beginning. Because their name was in the video, like the bottom left, or they watermarked it. I was like, oh, I don't have to credit them, right? You do.
Yes,
you do. So after a couple of times of being reminded, now it's a habit in the caption. Hey, big shout out to, whoever it is, for this video. Right. And then they're happy, you're happy, and you both win.
Plus, if you're plagiarizing off of someone that's really well known, then that makes you look like you haven't done your homework. And you're trying to, I've seen this where people are trying to pass off quotes as their own and they don't credit the person.
Right.
And it just makes me think a little less of that person for not crediting. So just take an extra second and give that person credit. So I think everyone's happy. Yeah.
Gal Motto Haven says, thank you very much. You got the You got the name right. Galmato Haven. I'm a guy though. Sorry, dude.
Uh-oh.
Gotta go, but I'm watching the rest later. Very cool. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you.
Very cool. Thank you, Galmato.
Okay, so do you still need to contact them beforehand? No, you don't have to contact them beforehand. If they put it out on IG, you know, they want you to share it, to be honest with you, because like when I put out a piece of content and I don't get tagged when people hit the arrow and share it, I get like a little upset. Not that like they took my thing, but like it would have been nice for them to tag me in their post, because then that helps me extend my reach.
Exactly. Sometimes I'll see something and I'll say, hey, do you mind if I repost this? I don't do that with everything, but I sometimes will ask the person directly if it's something that I'm seeing in real time and I want to repost later on that day or a few minutes later. But oftentimes I just give that person credit. So that everyone's comfortable with it. So
that's not going to hurt you.
Information. Yeah, of course not.
It's definitely not going to hurt you. I get that too. Hey, do you mind if I repost this? I'm like, please.
Of course. Right? You want that, right?
What are you waiting for? You know?
Right, exactly.
I mean,
it's so good.
But that's some of the tips and tricks you can use with video that are really going to help you. I got to be careful of time, because at 60 minutes, the IG live will just turn off and it won't save. So I just want to be careful of time here, but I'm hoping some of you guys, got some value out of this. I'm trying to like read the comments and talk at the same time. That doesn't work either. But I hope you got some value out of this. And so here's my ask for the guys that are still watching, and perhaps the folks that will watch this later. I'm trying to get 7,000 new people to the Brand Doctor account this week. Last week we did 4,000. I'm up in the game. I'm up in the bar to 7,000. I'm going to see if I can get there. If I get 5.5, I'm happy. But 7,000. And what I'm asking you guys to do, here's the call out, right? Is to share some of my content and tag me and tell people to follow the Brand Doctor account. That's my ask of you, but only do that if you find this content valuable and it will actually help somebody. And that's my ask, because I cannot get more exposure. I cannot get more reach, and I cannot make more of an impact without you guys. And what I decided to do was I put some budget away this week, and I'm paying attention to the people that repost my stuff and tag me, because the more people, the ones that do it the most, on Sunday, I will cast 3 winners, and I will provide a nice, generous gift to those folks for their time and energy for doing that for me this week. So
very nice.
Get out there and start playing and competing with each other. It's a lot of fun. And you'll see me in my IG stories sharing those shares, because I want to acknowledge those folks that I'm watching them.
I like that. That's excellent.
So, Adele, any calls to action, anything that you would want them to do, our audience to do, while we still have their attention?
Absolutely. So thanks, guys, for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. I have a free PDF download for you guys just to kind of help you along your on-camera and video journey. And it is 16 quick tips. It actually comes from my book, my latest bestseller, which is Celebrity Media Secrets: 7 Simple Steps to Present with Power, Poise, and Style on Camera, Get Booked on TV and Media, and Become a Celebrity in your industry. So it's overcoming your fear and developing your on-camera confidence. And all you need to do is get your phones out, just as you do, and text the word media, MEDIA 101. So you're texting the word media 101 all together to the number 33777. The number is 33777. And you are 777, yes, 33777, media 101. You're just going to text that, and it's going to prompt you to offer your email address. So it's going to actually go to your email inbox, And it takes literally about 10 seconds and another 5 seconds to receive the PDF download. And it is overcoming your fear and developing your on-camera confidence. So I hope that really helps you guys along and builds you up and helps you as you begin to do your business videos, your YouTube videos, your Instagram and Facebook lives, and all of that good stuff.
Love it. I love it. I just want to address Mr. Mesner real quick on Instagram. He's asking, can you answer my last question? And it was, how do you practice developing your voice and tone? And I think we addressed it before, but in case you missed it, it's a lot of practice. It's recording video, it's rewatching the video, and basically auditing and editing, auditing yourself and asking yourself, did I provide enough energy? And then I would redo the video with a little bit stronger tone, maybe a little bit louder voice and a little bit more energy, and continue to do that, rinse and repeat until you get a video that you're proud to watch. And that's going to help you tremendously. Just tweak that voice and tone and get you in that right position. Anything you'd like to add real quick?
Yeah, no, I agree exactly with what you're saying. I'm always of the thought process of, if you can get a coach, get one session, so that person will at least set you along the path of practicing the right way, because oftentimes we practice, and when we practice, we're not practicing correctly. But if we can't hire a coach right now because maybe it's not in the budget, then have a friend present as you're recording your videos, then watch it even with that friend. But for sure, scaled super back, if you want to really bare bones, then just record yourself. And just like Henry said, watch it over and over again. Watch some of your favorite people on TV and see what they do.
Yeah.
See how they vary their tone of voice. Taking a voiceover class is cool too. All of these things can help.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. But keep
that's-
your energy up, guys, because as your energy is up, it's contagious to your viewers. And so it feels real, it feels authentic, it feels fun, it feels entertaining, because at the same time, we want to educate, but we want to entertain at the same time.
Exactly.
And so we want to find that balance.
I love it. I love it. So we're getting so many questions, but unfortunately we have to get going. But
oh my gosh.
Last but not least here, what if you're afraid of being on the internet? Then I would certainly say, what would
afraid
I
of
say?
being on camera?
What's that?
They're afraid of being on camera, afraid of being on the internet for exposure.
Yeah, that's two different stories, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think they're meaning video, but if we're wrong, please let us know. One, I would download Adele's PDF.
Overcoming your fear.
And then lastly, my favorite is the brand doctor. He says, no. And then Adon says, when did you guys decide to go on camera for the first time? What can I do so I can talk to the camera? So there's a couple different things. One, we actually just met on Instagram not too long ago, and then we found out that we live pretty close to each other, so we met in person and got to know each other a little bit better. And then I proposed that we do these live streams once a week to really help each other's audience, number one, grow, but two, share that value and create that content together. So that's what we decided to do. And then we realized that like video is one of the best ways to connect with our audience, because they get to see us, they get to hear us. They can't smell us, hopefully. The more
I'm
the
smelling
more
pretty
emotions,
good. It's all good.
Yeah, the more emotions that you could evoke, or I should say the senses, the more senses that you could evoke from someone and touch, the better connection you'll make. So do you think I blundered working in secret? I don't know how to answer that. I don't know. I wish I could answer that. I would need to know much more of your backstory to let you know. But here's the deal. If you don't do it, it'll lead to regret. And I'm not going to look back when I'm 90 and say, I wish I would have done that. I'm just going to do it while I still can. So just keep that in mind and, run with that if you want. But Adele, I got a jet. I know
All
you're very
right.
busy as well. So, I value your time. Thank you so much. We're going to do these every week on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. If we have a chance to do them in the evening, we'll coordinate and see if we can make that work. But I typically spend time with my family during those hours. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but appreciate that suggestion earlier. But if you want to catch us next week, next Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, we will be here with bells on.
That's right. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy, guys.
Have a good one.
We're gonna go here.
Instagram's off for sure.